Northrup, and I'm here with my friend Lael Jepson, who owns a company called SheChanges, and she helps people to write new stories for their lives and for their businesses. In particular, she works with women who are ready to jump ship, whatever that may mean for you.
It means something to someone who is ready to jump ship.
You'll know if that resonated. Yeah. So we're here talking about money love stories, and Lael and I have known each other for about a year.
Yeah.
About a year.
Just about.
And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about your own journey. So you said that something happened in January.
Yes.
That sort of was a ping for you.
Noteworthy.
That maybe money was a thing to dive into a little deeper.
Yeah, it was more than a ping. It was like a slap upside the head.
Okay. What happened?
So I had a client that I was seeing who was paying me for my session, and she came to my session, and they pay in advance of their session, and this particular session was $250, and she paid me in cash, and it freaked me out in a very obvious way, and she laughed when she gave it to me, but she gave me cash, and I've had clients do this before, and I kind of stuff it someplace, but it was $250, and I handled it as if it were like shards of glass, and I made a big deal, I should put this someplace before the wind blows it away, and she just watched me and laughed, and I looked at her and she said, "That's noteworthy." You handle that? And I was like, yeah, that's something I need to work on. And I had seen it coming for a while, but so much so that she joked that the next time she was coming to a session 2 weeks later, she was going to get $251 bills, and she was going to drive by my office and just cast them on the wind, so I would have to touch them. And this whole idea of touching my money and how I don't, especially in this electronic age.
It's so easy.
I get paid by PayPal or checks.
And
I never actually physically touch my money.
So
there's something there.
What's happened since then?
So I got busy.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, full court press on the whole money thing. And one of the things I realized, you came and you were writing Money Love, and you did the webinar, and the first piece that I realized was what are my stories, what are my beliefs about money? Right. So I was doing that work on myself, and I realized someone had asked me, who do you admire? I think it was Danielle Laporte's book in Firestarter Sessions. Yeah. One of her chapter on money got me going, and it sort of prepared my palette for the work that I was going to do with you. And she said, who do you admire? Or someone said, who do you admire that has money? And it was just radio silence in my head. And I was like, nobody. But then on the other side of who do you not admire? What's the opposite of not admire? Who do you diss?
Not respect.
Who do you want to disassociate from?
Right.
Yeah, not respect. Yeah. There was like a massive pile of people.
And who have money, who you don't admire.
So I realized the visuals that I had, the beliefs that I had were all working against this place that I wanted to go, which was more. Yeah. I wanted more. So I had enough, and I joked that I'm tired of eating cupcakes and thinking it's enough. I want the whole cake. Remember we talked about this. I want to eat the cake.
That was the first day I met you. Right. You said that, and I was
naked
like,
and without a fork.
Awesome.
Mama. So that meant for me more, and I started to realize all these beliefs and visuals and stories were running contrary to that. And if I didn't get on it, it was gonna be a train wreck.
So where did that come from for you? Like, what were you taught about money growing up?
Oh, well, that's like a whole...
I know, sorry, that question wasn't on the piece of paper.
Obviously it comes from my background. Yeah. So one of the things that you might not know, that when I sat down to do the money, you have people write their money story.
Money story, yeah, and that's in the book,
that was
by the way.
I've done years of therapy to try to touch that, but what I realized is I was touching all these different and distinct pieces that were not able to be reconciled. So, for example, I grew up in the suburbs, and I always thought we were rich, but I had a father who kind of dangled money above our heads and always told us we were poor, and I couldn't reconcile that. And so then we left my dad. My mom always jokes that I say we got divorced. And we had to take my dad for court. We had no money, and at the same time I was living in an extremely affluent area and going to his high school with incredible wealth. And we were poor at that point, and we had food stamps and coupons and all sorts of things. And then my parents formed their own business, my mom and my stepdad, and they hit big in the 80s, and they were making millions and living in a very affluent area.
Yeah.
So when I looked at my money story, I had lived the entire spectrum of, the dirt poor, middle to affluent, and I wasn't wearing any of it. And so it was very cool writing. I'm all about the narrative.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool stringing together all those pieces of information in my narrative that enabled me to see myself, and as you put, come into agreement.
Get into agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
That I had made
story.
that wrong. Well, that's really bad. The really affluent and the trust funds and blah, 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 blah. And then my pile of badness.
Right. The pile of people with money who you don't want or you don't admire.
Yeah. And so I hadn't identified with anything around money. I just disassociated with stuff. And I was just sort of a vagabond going along the spectrum. And so I was able to get clear on my beliefs around money and what it meant to me, and it was so liberating. And it was so much easier than therapy. I mean, it was
just a writing exercise.
Right,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
But it gave me control over my narrative. It gave me visibility into where I was in that whole. Because it is a really broad spectrum. And one of the things I realized I had identified with was my mom's being raised by a single mom.
Yep.
I remember, it's so strange that I would know this, but I was 12 and she was making $14,000 a year. It's so strange that I would remember that, right?
Wow.
But I remember feeling we were in this together and we were a team. The three of us were a team, and there was some nobility to it, like the scrappiness, the resourcefulness.
Yeah.
We're making ends meet. We're piecing it together. So somewhere along in my history, I took pride in that, and that was better than having ease, and having wealth. Yeah. So
like there is a value in the struggle.
Yep. Yes.
Got it.
Yes, there's value in the struggle. So when I was looking for moving for having just enough and making ends meet to accumulating wealth, I was getting hung up in my underwear.
Sure.
I was.
Hung up in your underwear.
I was.
And when it comes to money, you do not want to get hung up in your underwear.
No.
So now, our money stories start from really probably the day we are aware that money even exists, or even in the womb, who knows. But now, even from January to now, how has that practically transformed in your life? Like what's your money life like now, and how is it different?
It's really been a beautiful and powerful shift. So the first thing I did was shop for a new visual. So I'm very clear on what my old, because I'm a visual person. So the new visual, and I was looking and looking and looking, and I found I have these vision boards that I do, and I have this one that's like 5 years old that's in my closet, and I was looking at it one day, and right in the middle of it was this image that I had seen for years, but I didn't really know what it meant.
Yeah.
And it's this woman, it's just from the chest down, and it's this woman with her arms full of Christmas ornaments, and they're falling out of her arms, and they're brightly colored, and she's wearing this green sweater, and it's just, I looked at it, and I was like, that's how I want to be in relationship to money. I want it to be festive and overflowing and not able to even be contained. It's so abundant, and colorful and whimsical, and that opened up the energy of freedom, which is so different than struggle. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, so that was really helpful, and to also this practice of touching my money. So looking at my bank account more when clients give me a check, rather than just take it and say thank you very much, or if they pay electronically with PayPal's, not even acknowledging it.
Right.
Now I always acknowledge it, and if they pay me in a check, I make a big deal about rubbing it between my hands, so much so that they're like, what are you doing?
That's very cool.
But and I just say thank you, and I look at it and I look at the amount, and I kind of acknowledge it. And it was it came to a moment last week where I'm working with this client who I adore all my clients, but this woman had gotten a lot out of this session, and she was paying for the session, and she had bright red lipstick on that day, and she took her check and she kissed it, and she gave it to me, and I was like, I have always wanted to do that, but I've never had the audacity to like put my bright. First of all, I never wear lipstick, But when I run over, my realtor lives across the street, and when I go to pay my rent check, I run up the stairs, and I'm like, oh, and I always say I was going to kiss this, but I didn't want to like freak you out or anything,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of gratitude in giving the money away and paying the bills.
So gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
So beautiful, and it's revolutionary. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it. I'm like taking that in. And I love the shopping for a new visual.
Yes.
So take that
really
one, shopping for the new visual, and then really accepting with gratitude and taking it in, and then also giving with gratitude, because that is a reflection of your value that you're putting out into the world.
Yeah.
And that's huge for you to take that moment and take it in.
Receive it.
If you liked this Money Love Story, head over to moneyalovestory.com, where you can hear from other experts like Lael. You can find out more about Lael at SheChanges.com. And with your purchase of the book, you get access to a free course I'm teaching called A Course in Having Enough, with guest experts Marianne Williamson and Amanda Steinberg and Barbara Stanley. So you can find out more at moneyalovestory.com. Thank you, Lael.
You're so welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you.